Mr. Dethick! Mr. Dethick! A wager yelled, running into Mr. Dethick's office to tell him. The cell with Precocious Boulderson is wide open, and she, the wager stammered, she is gone, and the guards in front of her door that were on a hall patrol are all dead, the wager said, catching his breath. No, impossible, said Mr. Dethick, leaving his office, power walking to the cell where Precocious had been laid out. Once he reached her cell and saw she was gone for himself, he said, gather the whole army. I want every wager to gather to me. At once, we will put an end to this once and for all, he said dryly. Sir, the whole army? The wager asked wide-eyed. What are we going to do? He has killed wagers already, the wager said doubtfully. Now, said Mr. Dethick. The wager did as he was told, and within an hour, 6 times 6 wagers were gathered to the city, summoned from all other places. They were informed they would engage in a battle of battles to put an end to the man and his father once and for all. They were to search the city and retrieve Precocious Boulderson and commit the biggest imprisonment of all times, worse than had ever happened on Earth at one time. There was to be no mercy on any man, woman, or child. Mr. Dethick was fired up. He left prison with legion after legion of wagers. As they left the prisons, the sky grew dark and a storm began to brew, thunder and lightning crashing in the sky. When the people of the city saw the storm brewing in the sky and saw the wagers, they grew fearful. We have to hide, said Candor. Come, Precocious, he said, grabbing her. No, the man said to, so I have to tell everyone. She said, you have informed enough people, and they believe you now. Let's go. Something is coming soon, I'm afraid, he said, looking at the sky fearfully. Candor and Precocious ran until they reached Candor's family home. Once inside, Candor said, come on, I know where you can hide until the storm passes. My parents won't find you. He led her to his room, which had a secret passageway in the closet. Precocious went in and hid, but she didn't want to hide. What could a wager or Mr. Dethick do to her now that she's escaped with the man's help? The storm now raged. Thunder and lightning and shrieking in the sky. It was loud and scary. Search everyone, every home, and find her, said Mr. Dethick. Countless numbers of wagers flooded the city, going into home, pulling out families, dragging them to prison. It wasn't long until they reached Candor's home. And they came, breaking in Candor's door, and when he did not answer, then Precocious could hear Candor screaming, and they took him. She could not let them take Candor because of her. She broke out of the closet and appeared before the wagers. Leave him alone, it's me you want, she said boldly. Precocious, no, Candor said. You're a wager. You, a wager said, grabbing her and dragging her to the wagon. But once outside, the sky began to open up and the thunder and lightning grew so loud and bright. Both wagers and people were blinded. The man had arrived with his army. A bright creature appeared before Precocious and grabbed her from the grip of the wager powerless against the creature. Precocious now understood. Every promise would be kept, and the wagers and Mr. Dethick and the prison would be done for good. Ha! I knew you'd return. This time I will crush you myself, Mr. Dethick said, transforming into a dragon-like creature, flames coming out of his mouth, as it proceeded to engage in direct combat with the man. The man grabbed his sword and struck the beast, which flew to the ground. Bright creatures now flew and ravishingly attacked wager after wager. The sky sparked with electricity and flames and smoke. Your power will be relieved today. No one will enter your prison again. After today, no one else shall ever enter there again, and you will set free those that are there today, said the man. And when he spoke, it was as if the thunders were synchronized with his voice. Never! Yelled Mr. Dethick, and flames flew from his mouth. I am ruler of this place. Me! He added viciously. The two fought until they finally... Mr. Dethick was bound and his power proven false against the man's. Mr. Dethick was completely destroyed before the entire city, and his wagers along with him. That day, the entire prison, every victim it held in cells, was awakened and released. Precocious parents freed. The whole city rejoiced that day, as it never had before. Countless victims walked out of prison this day. Families reunited with loved ones. Generations of families meeting for the first time. And finally, the prison was completely destroyed and burned to the ground. Never again would another soul enter this dreadful place to be bound by Mr. Deffick and his wagers again. Forever. It was true all along. There was really, truly, indeed, a way out. The way out.